Good afternoon. This is Aaron from Autumn Chase Outdoors. Thanks again for coming to the channel. If you like what you see, go ahead and subscribe and hit the like button below. Just wanted to put out another video today and just wanted to talk about or ask the question, what do you do when you access your stands, or how do you approach your stands? As September is coming along, we're going to start hunting here. I think one of the biggest mistakes that can be made is walking into your stand or approaching your stand without having any sort of awareness as far as what impact you're making to your hunting area. Things to consider are obviously your scent. What scent are you leaving behind? What scent are you putting out in the air? Which way is the wind blowing? Is it blowing towards the deer? Is it blowing away from the deer? Is the trail that you're walking into your stand, is that going to be a deer trail, or did you prepare a trail that's going to be crossing deer trails? And how are you going to cross those deer trails? There's a lot of questions. At least when I'm thinking about a hunt coming up, or the next day when I'm going to be hunting, I'm always thinking about these things. One thing I try to do is reduce the amount of scent that I'm going to be putting off. The one way you can do that is obviously by washing your clothes. Lots of products out there to wash your clothes with. The other products that are out there are ozone products. This year what I'm going to try out is, I just went on Amazon and I purchased an ozone generator that's usually used in like restoration projects in construction. Like a house that gets flooded or has mold issues, they bring in these ozone generators to take out the smell inside the house. I found that you can buy one of those, and it's usually a heavier duty ozone generator for like $100, anywhere between $60 to $100. So I bought one of those. I also bought an enclosed little zip-up closet that I'm going to keep my clothes in. I'm going to run that generator in there. But before I do that, I'm going to wash my clothes with scent-free soap. The one thing I do add when I wash my clothes is baking soda. I like to put a lot of baking soda in the wash with the soap, and then when the clothes go into the dryer, I like to sprinkle a couple teaspoons, or tablespoons rather, of baking soda into the dryer as well. That way I figure some of the baking soda will work its way into the fabric, and that'll help. I've actually found it to be pretty successful in the field as far as reducing the amount of scent that I'm going to be putting out. I think it'd be important to note that I don't believe that you can be 100% free. I don't believe that. But what I do believe is, the way I think about it is that deer, when they have such a strong sense of smell, I believe that they can smell obviously many things from a distance away, and they can probably smell all kinds of different odors at the same time. I think what begins to spook deer, at least from my experience and from what I've observed, is that it's almost as though they come into a more powerful scent. So if they get close to your stand and if you have a scent blowing in a certain direction, I believe that begins to overpower, or they begin to smell a strong amount of your scent, a large amount of your scent. So when I think about scent reduction in what I'm doing, is I'm trying to reduce the strength of the scent that I'm putting out. So I'm going to wash with scent-free shampoo and soap. I use scent-free deodorant. Wash my clothes in scent-free soap. Add some baking soda, which will absorb any residual odors. The other things that I like to do is I like to put the baking soda in my boots and in my socks before I go out as well. every time I come in from the field, I like to sprinkle the baking soda in my boots and let them dry up and let the baking soda soak in as much odor as I possibly can. And then the last step would be to spray down before I go out into the field. And then when I'm approaching my stand, I like to take trails that are not deer trails, or if they are a deer trail, it's one that's going to be used not as a main travel route. Maybe it's more of a roundabout trail. So every time I go scouting, I like to take notes as far as trails that have the most deer tracks on them and some which have fewer deer tracks. That way I can pick and choose paths through the woods that I know to stay off of. If it's a deer trail that's heavily used and I have a lot of deer tracks on it, that's a trail that I'm not going to walk down or use when I approach my stand. The other thing deer like to do is they like to take the path of least resistance. So if I have a stand that's out in a clump of trees and have to cross a field, obviously you can usually pick the trail that the deer are going to use to cross that field really easily. So what I'll do is I'll either parallel that trail on a different trail, or I'll just kind of zigzag my way through the field. And as I approach the deer trail, I'll make sure I try to steer clear of anything brushing against my clothing, and I step over the deer trail so that I don't leave a scent mark right on that scent trail. Those are just some tips as far as approaching the stand, as far as leaving a scent trail behind. I always consider the wind direction as well. When you're approaching your stand, if you're like me, you've set your stands up for a certain wind direction. I try to approach that stand with the wind into my face. That way I know that where I'm walking through, my scent's going to be blowing in that same direction. That kind of gives me more of a tactical response as far as approaching my stand. That way I can see everything out in front of me. I take my time. I don't rush to a stand. I take every footstep very carefully. One thing that I've done in the past and actually has worked really well, especially when I'm approaching a stand that's going to be very close to a bedding area. Once I get into that 100 yards of that bedding area, one method I've used is I will try to take each step, and I will start, as I step forward, I put my toe down first and then my heel second. And it's almost, when you sit in a stand and you hear a deer approaching, it almost sounds like a ch-ch, ch-ch, ch-ch. So when I take a step with my boots, I like to put my toe down first, and I try to use the least amount of my boot as possible to make it more like a deer hoof. And then when I put that heel down, it's almost as though that's the back foot or back leg of a deer coming forward to make that second step. About 15 years ago, I shot a 150-inch buck, and I was within 30 to 40 yards of them, and I walked right on the downwind side of their bedding area, snuck up into my stand. I know that they were within earshot, but I think that just a slow approach, and if I make myself sound like a deer walking through the woods instead of a human being just clomping through the woods and cracking every stick and breaking every branch on the way, I think that was a huge thing or consideration when it came down to that hunt, and one of the biggest reasons why I was successful in that hunt. I was only in the stand for about 20 minutes, and they got up out of their beds, and the doe jumped out of the thicket, and he went out after her. He bred her twice, and they came back around into my food plot, and I was able to get a good shot on them. So just things to consider. I think when you break things down and you get as detailed as you possibly can, when you look forward to your hunts, try to plan out every path to your tree stand with the wind direction, how you're going to approach it. If you know the deer trails in the area, think about how you're going to cross those deer trails, and put just as much planning into your approach and into your access of your stand as you would anything else to your hunts. Once again, thanks for watching Autumn Chase Outdoors. If you like the content, please like and subscribe. Thank you.